You're listening to Big World Network.
Accidental Passion, Episode 3, Unexpected Responses, read by Meagan Hedin. Warning! Although there is no material subject matter within that couldn't be found in any general bookstore with no age constraint, this series is rated 18 and contains adult situations and content. It is intended for mature audiences only and should not be read if you are uncomfortable with graphic sexual intimacy. Ryan poured himself a cup of coffee and carried it into his office, took a sip, and set it down before sitting at his computer. His office had long since been his favorite room in the house, and he referred to it as his vanity room, since the earthy bluish-green walls were lined with posters of movies adapted from his novels, awards, and other career memorabilia. Woods kidded him that all he would ever have to do to score is take a date into his office. It was also a relaxing room that stimulated creativity. There was a leather couch lining the wall opposite his desk, and a large bay window on another wall looking out over a green, tree-lined landscape. There was a flat-screen LCD television mounted on the wall in front of the couch and several large bookshelves. It was really a cross between a den, library, and office. After he was comfortably settled in his chair, he moved his wireless mouse to bring his computer alive and decided to go through some emails before doing some writing. Opening his email program while taking another sip of his coffee, he was surprised to see so many new emails on his personal account. They had topics ranging from "uh-oh" to one that caught his attention from a college buddy he hadn't talked with in a very long time. The subject line simply said, "Dude." Clicking on it, he watched as it opened. At the top it said in big letters, "Score," followed by an image. It took Ryan a moment for it to sink in, what he was looking at in the photograph, and when realization struck him, he felt his face flush and burn, and his fingers began to tingle. He sat motionless, staring at the image of him sitting at the fake news desk in front of the crowd at his publisher's hosted event, with Kim under the desk. His first thought was one of relief as he realized that Kim wasn't identifiable in the picture. He did not want to put her through this, or for her to get caught up in the dark side of his fame. Despite his horror of opening up the image and realizing it had become public now on the internet, he couldn't help but smile warmly at the memory and thought of the attention Kim had given him. Even in this moment of realization and the impact the image could have, he longed for her. Closing the email, he opened up several others that mentioned the image, linked to it, or included it in the content of the email body. Everyone had something to say, mostly of support and concern for Ryan having to deal with this, and speculation as to the kind of person that would take the picture and release it on the internet. Without even trying to go through the rest of the emails, Ryan opened up a browser on his monitor and typed his name and the word picture into the search window. Immediately, an entire page of links was displayed, many of them for tabloids and entertainment blogs. After clicking on a few, seeing that most had picked up the story and some were even showing the image, he reached into his front pocket for his cell phone and selected Wood's number to call. "Hey," Woods answered after the first ring. "Hey, have you seen the picture?" Ryan asked. "Now I know why you were so cagey in your answers when I asked if you had been seeing Kim." Woods laughed on the other end. Despite Ryan's horror of the situation, Woods always managed to make life seem okay and stamp him back to a grounded attitude. "I wasn't cagey," he replied, with mock defense in his voice. "I'm sure everyone is asking you this, but how the hell did you maintain your composure?" "Strong motivation," Ryan replied with a chuckle. "So what can I do for you?" Woods asked. "Would it be possible with your talented investigative skills to figure out who took and released this picture?" He knew it would be a long shot at best. "It's possible, but difficult," Woods answered. "The best I could do is contact a few of the tabloids and see if anyone had approached them with the picture before it was released. Because it is in so many locations so quickly, it's doubtful that the image and story got out from some exclusive, so they may talk." Ryan heard 2 quick beeps in his phone and moved it away from his ear, looking at the screen. There was an incoming call from Angela, his agent and publicist. Rolling his eyes, he brought the phone back up to his face. "I have another call coming in from my agent. I'll give you a call back." "You got it. See ya." Ryan selected answer on his screen and simply said, "Angela," with no hello or other greeting. He never did like her much, but looked at her as a necessary evil. "I take it you've seen the picture?" she asked on the other end. "Yes." I'm booking you on every late-night talk show I can get you on this week. I think the best thing to do is take the Hugh Grant approach. We can undo the damage." Angela spoke with matter-of-fact tone without question, which annoyed Ryan. He wasn't about to give control of his life up to an agent or publicist, or anyone else for that matter. "I'm not Hugh Grant, nor was I arrested for lewd conduct. We aren't doing anything, Angela. I didn't do anything wrong." "What?" She was incredulous. "You would be making a big mistake. You're getting a blowjob while addressing a room full of your fans." Ryan cringed at her crudeness. "Oh, and by the way, you need to tell me who the woman was so I can protect you." "Protect me? Protect me from what?" Now it was he who was incredulous. "I'm not telling you who it is because it's no one's business, and this will die down on its own. Let the tabloids have their fun." Angela barely let him finish. "Tabloids? You're not spotted on a date somewhere with some star. You're going to be the joke of every late-night monologue for the next week. Writers live for this sort of thing. I've worked hard to get you the public recognition status you have. You're not going to do this to me." Now Ryan was upset. "Do this to you? Really? And thank you so much for making me famous with your talents," he said sarcastically, "because my handful of #1 movies, multiple bestsellers, charitable work, and talent had nothing to do with it." "You are so fucking naive," Angela shot back. "You can't ignore this. It's not going to go away. But I can make it work to your advantage and turn this around. Imagine where Hugh Grant would have been if he hadn't had that night on Leno. You will become the joke of Hollywood." "I live in Detroit," Ryan said with all seriousness. "I didn't do anything wrong. I may have offended some fans, but I have always been known for being good to my fans and making time for them. I don't believe it will hurt me. And," he continued, "let them have fun with the jokes. They'll probably be pretty funny." There was a long sigh on the other end of his cell phone. "I'm coming out there on the next flight. You are making a big mistake, and I'm not going to let you do it. And I need the name of this girl to protect her, and to protect you if she comes out of the woodwork for media attention." "No, and no," Ryan replied, annoyed. "I'll be there in the morning," said Angela, and hung up, leaving Ryan holding his phone, his face a deep red, making his hair pale in contrast. Kevin climbed out of his lane at the pool and waited for Scott, his training friend, to do the same from the next lane over. Grabbing a towel and drying off their bodies in Speedos, they chatted about their swim times. Since Kevin had begun to focus on his lifting and fitness, trying to hang on to his youth, he'd become somewhat obsessed with his body. He was proud of it. Hell, he was turned on by it. But Kim barely noticed, and they continued to drift apart. Not that he minded. He was creating a new life for himself and was determined to be able to hook up with girls 15 years his junior. So aside from his dental practice, fitness filled the rest of his time, and Scott, an obstetrician, had become a perfect training partner. They were both about the same age and build, but, more importantly, they both had similar personalities and goals, and looked at women in the same way. They often joked about women at the gym, and admired them, when they weren't admiring their own bodies in the mirrors while lifting weights. Their transitions into muscular fit bodies had also coincided with each other. In general, Kevin really enjoyed Scott's company and friendship and found that they were doing more and more together. Although they were both married, they had gone out together for drinks several times at a local upscale singles hangout in the city. Neither had scored that night, but they had had a good time. Making their way into the locker room, they stopped at the ringer machine and both removed their Speedos to spin the water off in the device, then walked naked to their lockers, neither bothering to cover up with their towels. Aside from his not being very well endowed, Kevin had become very proud of his body and didn't feel the need to hide it. After depositing their Speedos and grabbing bottles of shower gel and shampoo, the two walked to the shower room while discussing their practices. They hung their towels on the hooks just outside the showers and walked in. It was an older shower room, with tiles on all 4 walls and around 10 showers with exposed pipes, each about 5 feet apart. The room was empty, and they went to 2 shower heads beside each other on the far wall as they continued talking. As Kevin lathered up his body with the shower gel, he shot a glance at his friend who was doing the same, and was surprised to see he had the start of an erection. Looking away quickly, he felt his heart racing as their casual conversation continued. Unable to help himself, Kevin soon stole another glance. There was no doubt about it. Scott was growing hard in the shower next to him. As the realization and ramifications overwhelmed Kevin's thoughts, his friend being aroused and naked next to him, Kevin felt his own cock begin to fill. He casually turned his backside to Scott so his body would hide his growth, but the more he thought about it, the more he became anxious, and the more he grew. It wasn't long before it was apparent from cross glances that they were both fully hard, that there wasn't much point in trying to conceal it. The fear that someone walking in and seeing both of them in that condition crossed Kevin's mind, and added even more anxiety, which was seeming to translate to his cock, causing it to actually jump a little. The two had since ceased their conversation as they rinsed off, but neither directly acknowledged their conditions. Many thoughts were going through Kevin's mind, and he had been much more aware of his body in recent weeks, even turned on by himself, which he was sure Kim would attribute to his self-absorption, and he had found himself masturbating more frequently. Some of that increase was no doubt a result of the fitness and activity of his body, but he had never before considered doing anything with a man, and, although he admired Scott's physique, he had never allowed himself to think about it. Still, this was something new, something exciting in his mundane life. He hadn't felt so stimulated or alive in a long time, his heart still racing. As they both finished rinsing off, Scott turned to face him. Kevin did the same, both just standing under their shower heads, unsure, waiting for the other to do something, not even being sure what that something was or should be. After several moments, Scott took a half-step towards Kevin, reaching out with one hand for his hard cock, just as they heard someone coming into the shower room. They both quickly turned to face the wall and continued their showers as another man made his way to a shower head on the side wall. Scott quickly finished and, holding his shampoo and shower gel bottles in front of him, made his way towards the hanging towels at the entry, leaving Kevin contemplating what had just happened. When he finally made it out of the shower and back into the locker room, the two dressed to head back to their respective offices, once again engaging in casual talk as if the incident had never happened. But it remained in the forefront of Kevin's thoughts as they walked out, gym bags in tow.
This has been a presentation of Big World Network. Visit us on bigworldnetwork.com for more free weekly series, or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to Big World Network.